time for the Gore N More podcast.
Gonna have a good time. Gonna have a good time. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
We're going on now.
A ball break, walking hand in hand in the moonlight. We'll be the sweet soul there. I swear we'll never part.
We're going on now.
A ball break, running in the sand, feeling alright.
Welcome.
How do you do?
Welcome to the Gore N More podcast with a big bad Beetle twist this week.
You got us.
Yeah. So we're doing a little bit of a pod swap here with our Project Louder colleagues. I am your host, Cam the Man Lee. I am here with Nick himself, Reese.
How do you do?
And
Himself,
Ryan Lockard from
Hi,
the Mobile
TJ.
Division.
Open up that private chat again, and I don't know if I'll be able to do the podcast. No, I tried closing it. It just was like, oh, okay, you want to dip out of the meeting. Gotcha. You're out. Okay, sorry, but I'm
It
here.
just decided to boot you for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're doing a little bit of a pod swap this week. So we're hanging out. We sat down separately and safely and watched The Monster Squad from 1987, which is one of my absolute favorite movies. And I know no one knew that when we were going into the swap.
No, not at all.
Liked it. I
Until
didn't know
afterwards,
you were like
when you'd ask,
jerking off over
well, you've
it.
seen the movie, right? And you went, no. Well, Ryan at least had, and I was like, it's been like 12 years since I've seen it. You were like, dude, I've watched this movie every night since I was like 10 years old. I was like, well,
It's the only way you can get hard anymore.
I've been
really
over to your
weird.
house a lot, and I've never seen you watch this or mention it to me once.
You stayed in hotel rooms a ton, and I never saw you whip out your copy of Monster Squad.
I carried it with me everywhere. I don't know how you missed it. So yeah, for you guys who aren't familiar with us,
one for use, one's framed.
always. For you guys who aren't familiar with us, we are the Big Bad Beetle Bros. We already introduced ourselves, but we're participating in the pod swap because why the fuck not?
Well, you see, what happened was I thought that it was like a designated driver thing, right? So I was like, okay, I'll put our keys in this bowl with other keys. It's got a fob on it. I know which one it is. We'll be good. In fact, TJ had other plans. He was like, all right, but I'm gonna pass the bowl around. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like, are we gonna drive each other's cars? And then he was like, no, it's like a swingers party. I'm like, oh, so we're fucking each other. And he was like, no.
Which is what we
You're doing each
normally
other's
do on the
podcast.
Beetle
And I'm like, well, that's about 10,000% less sexy. So here we are.
We work with what we got.
Yeah. We make do. It is what we do.
So before we get into anything too much, we're going to do the little slice of life and dive into what's been going on with our week. So Nick, do you want to jump in? What have you been up to?
Oh, do I want to start? Do I want to start with the week that I've had, which thankfully you were around for it, so it wasn't absolutely awful. That wasn't completely terrible. It only started off with watching the Chiefs get curb stomped by Tom Brady. So
What, was there a game this weekend? I don't know.
Crying. Yeah. And then proceed to get snowed in immediately afterwards and not able to really do much. So really everything I did was probably on the weekend, probably before this week started, getting like the Warhammer stuff built with Alex, which I got my Tau Commander finally done.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that bitch.
Yeah.
A little closer.
It's so pretty.
It's
so pretty.
It hasn't been painted at all yet. So that was basically about it. And then just kind of figuring out that my car is not going to start until
Here, I'll pour one out for you, Nick, right here in my lap.
Yeah.
Just I was really hoping the cap was actually on there, right?
But yeah, so basically this week has been trapped in my apartment, hiding from the snow and trying to get this car taken care of. And I can't even have AAA take it in until tomorrow. I called in. They were like, yeah, man. So all of our tow spots are full. You're going to probably have to wait until tomorrow. And I was like, oh, looks out patio window at the fucking blizzard. Wonder what happened.
Yeah, it does make sense because as somebody who has had to actually drive into work early in the morning and during rush hour,
I've been
both to
waking
and
up at
from,
the same time.
it's I've seen tons of wrecks, more wrecks than I see on average per year in just this week alone, and it's Wednesday.
I'm positive. I mean,
crazy.
Cameron, when you and I ran to Price Chopper the other day so I could pick up groceries so I didn't starve to death in my house.
That's
in 1
cute.
week.
You didn't tell me about that.
I would say there was fire trucks rolling down the highway and everything the entire time while we were out there. I was like, man, the sky's falling. Nicolas Cage was driving a limo down the highway.
It was a little
that's
rough.
about been my week. So
Yeah. Ryan, what have you been up to? I know weather-wise, we've all kind of been doing the same shit.
So I guess this is, of all the weeks for us to be forced to talk about our mundane, horrible, pitiful existences, this is probably a decent one because
I have
it's just
a sweater
shit's happened.
and a cup of tea. What are you talking about? I'm in a recliner.
All right, so maybe I'm projecting. Sue me. Sue me, but sue me. So Monday, first day of the shit show, of the snowstorm and everything, there's a car. I'm driving down 71. For those of you who don't know, 71 is a road that exists. I'm in the far right lane because Kyle apparently, or I guess nowadays, Hurdy Her, Stop the Steal, Hurdy Her.
That's the one.
But so I'm in the far right of 3 lanes, and one car decides to pull a Trump supporter and just tries to real quickly go in the middle lane. No, fuck that. I'm not a part of that. And their first mistake was being in the far right lane to begin with, I guess, if they wanted to be, in the right side of history so bad. So they just swerve over real hard and they do a full 90 perpendicular to the median. And then somehow I thought, oh shit, that was it. But of course I'm responsible. So I'm back and stopped. I'm watching this whole thing unfold. And it somehow in the blink of an eye managed to correct the opposite way and goes and hits the other side of the highway. And I think, okay, now it's done because it hit 2 sides. Where do you go after 2 sides? I'll tell you where you go after 2 sides. You get right back in that far right lane and start talking about the fucking deficit as if you didn't just support a coup against the government, Josh Hawley. Sorry.
Who are you really mad at right now?
I'm mad at a lot of things. Else. But no, it just keeps on driving like nothing happened, and it's driver's side rear wheels just everybody's out of the way. It's the damnedest thing. So besides that,
the guy just thought he had a massage seat. He was just I don't remember an 84 Ranger having this.
Yeah, besides that, though, actually, I moved into my new office at work, really leaning into the new role. I'm making the space my own. I asserted my dominance today. Today was inventory day, which meant it had to be done, and it had to be done well, and had to be done right, which meant that, of course, I had to secure my door. I closed it. Sure enough, I still had somebody knock on it for some mundane and asinine thing. I'm like, thanks. Cool. Glad I stopped for this. Even though, the worst, whatever. I don't care. I don't honestly care because, I don't even really care about my job. Although I did approved for the pay increase. I don't know how much it was approved for, but something got approved formally, which is one step further than I was 2 years ago when I thought I was actually going to get one. But
I don't fucking care about my job, but they're giving me a lot more money now.
I don't care. The money means I'll care. It's capitalism. You are the ones who made this capitalists. Yeah, the thing is, I said come in. He didn't come in. So I turned my music down. It wasn't even playing loudly. I turned it down and said, come in louder. Didn't come in. Pulled my mask down. I was in the office by myself, still wearing a mask. Pulled it down. Come in. Nothing. Okay, bitch. So I stand up and open the door, and he's like, it's the new guy. He's like, you're right. I got a part for you. Thanks, Sparky.
You're gonna be like, there was nobody there.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to drag my day in the life, but that's pretty much like that's the exciting thing that's happened in the months since my life has fallen apart. So months. I don't know if I emphasized that well enough. Months. It's a work in progress, but we're tearing it down to bare bones. We're flipping this house.
Oh, it's like Vanilla
Sorry.
Ice.
That's the one.
Cameron,
Yeah, exactly.
how have you been while I drown myself?
I've been good. I've been more the first 2 days of the week after wallowing in my sorrows from the Chiefs' defeat.
I don't want to talk about
Yeah, let's just
everyone on
okay.
Discord.
So
After a horrible game against the refs and Tom Brady.
they've come up with alternative words for the pandemic, for COVID, trying times. Like let's call it something else. Let's call it the something. Come on, somebody funnier than me say something.
I was trying to think
There's
of
two of you that are funnier than me.
I was going to say like Sunday Massacre, but that's
No, like the
It's like
Backstreet Boys reunion
for
tour
COVID
with
or the
Game Grumps
game?
word. Like
Or the Backstreet
the
Boys
weekend,
reunion
the
tour.
weekend
What do we-
concert, the
Oh,
weekend's
yeah,
concert.
the weekend concert.
Let's call it
Yeah,
the weekend's
that's
concert.
There you go. The super spreader event. I mean,
Yeah, the super spreader event. All those cardboard
No,
people got
the
to
weekend
it. I don't know if you know
Keep
that.
into it. All those
The
cardboard
weekend concert
cutouts.
yeah.
Flat Stanley, no.
Yeah, after getting over that on Sunday evening and going into Monday, I was also more or less snowed in the last 2 days, the time of this recording, the last 2 days, and just now have
By the time of this
started.
recording. We're live, bud.
Well, true.
Oh,
Just now, like getting back into driving on the roads because the highways are finally clear. So yeah, I went back into work normally today, but all I've been up to in the last like 7 days, other than Chiefs stuff, is trying to get some interviews lined up for Beetle Bros, chatting with a handful of cast and crew from the show about
yeah,
that.
incredibly successful.
Well,
allowed
they're
to be-
busy people. They're busy people. No, I mean, it's a work in progress. But yeah, that's really all that I've been kind of doing. I've not
If you
really
will,
done a
to
ton.
Nene.
Yeah. Settling into the new house still, fixing stuff up in that. I've got like actual stuff hung up on my walls now. I have my shelves up. I'm gonna paint that.
Yeah,
damn
is it
helmet
too
soon.
hard to to show a little bit, because that wall actually has a ton of shit on it. Yeah, there it is. Ooh,
There's
baby.
that.
Yeah.
Like
And then
Gidra or
Studio.
Rodan,
Rodan?
Matt
Listen,
Frank
I think the
Rodan.
bad direction to have my everything facing. It's just a bare wall, and then
Yeah, and then
Omaha
Dude,
2010
like comment.
truck show. Bros.
I mean,
yeah, right. You should come into Cam's studio and get that little will scare for food or whatever. Post-it note. and
little
put it-
little post-it note.
Yeah, that one.
Here.
Wall behind you.
Oh, hold on, I got this.
Perfect.
Look at my ceiling.
There we go. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at that white balance.
Oh. Ooh.
Don't mind the blankets.
Super.
Yeah, that's all I've been up to this week. I guess we're just going to jump right into it because
We gotta go over,
we're used to doing like a full recap, but we don't have to do that this week. We get to dive into like trivia and factoids and like cast and crew and stuff because it's not the
We don't
same
cover-
5 people every episode.
We're not gonna cover every single second.
All right.
Right?
Opening credit. First frame. You got a word. I don't remember. I was gonna quote it and I can't remember how it started out, just how it ended.
Not quite. I mean,
They blew
close. They blew it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so we covered, as we said, The Monster Squad 1987 is directed by Fred Decker, written by Shane Black and Fred Decker, produced by Jonathan A. Zimbert. I'll say some of the starring roles.
I love Shane.
Andre Gower as Sean Crenshaw, Robbie Keeger as Patrick Rhodes. I know I'm going to say names wrong. I always say names wrong. It's just it's going to happen. Stephen Mock as Detective Del Crenshaw. Duncan Rieger. I think it's Rieger. As Count Dracula, as one of the best Count Draculas possible.
Who's the famous director that has that same last name? Or am I thinking of Rob
Is
Reiner?
it spelled the same? Is it because it's spelled like Regehr and it's like a weird German spelling.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a little bit of him and everybody. So I mean,
always
in the end.
Speak for yourself, colonizers.
There we go. Tom Noonan as Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
Brent Shalom.
Tom Noonan, by the way, hold on. Tom Noonan. We need to do a little spotlight on Tom Noonan because he's the only person I was able to actually put some squeeze to. Sorry, this notebook is not. Where the
not balancing quite as well.
What the fuck? No, I'm okay. I got really confused. I guess I turned more than a few pages because I was turning like one direction and I'm like, okay, there's nothing. That's the end of the notebook. And I turned the other direction. There was nothing. I'm like, no, my note should be here. And there was nothing. And this is the notebook that this is the one I drew Deku in. It's the one I've drawn like pretty much all of my good pencil drawings on. It's the
same one that I've got.
Scary.
Like sitting.
Yeah, the same exact.
Yeah.
So Frank, played by Tom Noonan, he plays Frankenstein's monster, and Tom Noonan, if you didn't know, he was an Eight-Legged Freaks. See, I'm playing to the crossplay here with the horror movies. Where what's the podcast? What's the podcast that we're doing right now?
It's on the screen, isn't it? Don't you see it on the screen?
I wish I could send you a screenshot.
Okay, that's fair. Yes, you're getting that Gore and More horror crossover line.
Gore N More. Yeah. This is the goriest. He played Eight-Legged Freaks. He was in Eight-Legged Freaks. He played Joshua Taft. Joshua Taft is also known by his better name, Spider Daddy. At least that's what I call him, and anybody who's cool. He was the guy who he had the spider farm that he gathered the radioactive crickets to feed his spiders, and then one of his tarantulas just like dinked him in the throat, and like Parkour! Sorry, I only watched the Spanish version. But fun fact about Tom Noonan. You can easily find this on any internet trivia, but we're bringing it to you live. He had a parrot that would frequently say, "I see dead people" for some reason. So creepy.
Interesting.
Perfect.
Gore N More.
Yeah. No wonder he got all. I wonder which came first, the parrot that said creepy shit or him getting into horror movies.
Oh, him getting into horror movies for sure.
Probably,
yeah.
Had to have been. Unless that parrot was already like 50 years old and it was like, that's the parrot that M. Night Shyamalan actually got his inspiration from.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And then music by Bruce.
No.
What?
There's more cast. We've got Brent Chalem. I believe it's Chalem as Horace.
Yeah.
You won't hear
Chalem,
it
like the
Horace.
pipe?
It's Chalem. I'm not sure. As Horace, but you don't really know him as Horace until quite the end of the movie. For the majority of the time, he's Fat Kid.
No, he says his name in the first scene that he's getting bullied in.
Okay.
Because remember, he says, "My name's Horace," and they're like, "Oh, you mean Horace?"
As 80s.
Sorry, I remember a lot more of that than I remember or thought I did. God damn, sorry. I'm on camera. It's making me nervous.
That's all right. We've got Ryan Lambert as Rudy Holleran, Ashley Bank as Phoebe Crenshaw, Michael Faustino as Eugene, Jonathan Gray?
I think it's Grease.
I'm gonna go with Grease as the Desperate Man / the Wolf Man. I don't know exactly why it was listed first as Desperate Man. I guess you do see.
Well,
it.
so
I guess because he's also the suit actor
First,
for
before-
the werewolf.
the entirety. I mean, wait,
we should
is that not?
through.
So because I was thinking, is he not the character or the actor for the guy untransformed as
Yeah,
the wolf
he is.
guy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, he literally his entire character, he's desperate. He's like, lock me up. And then he's like, fucking getting not killed. And he's like, but kill me. And then he's like, help me. And they're like, don't help. And then he's like, Garu. And then he's like, thank you for killing me. Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil like all 6 scenes that he's in, but
I mean,
You
I don't think we do a play-by-play of the.
and the entire time we see him as a human, he is desperate. So like I completely see it.
And we don't get a name, so
They could have
makes
given him a
sense.
name though, like literally like John Doe. He could have been John Doe, and it would have been
Yeah.
fine by me. Like, oh yeah, the police identified him as a John Doe. Like,
True.
So
sorry,
you're fine. You monster.
keep forgetting my lines too.
You son of a bitch. we've got Mary Ellen Trainor as Emily Crenshaw. Leonardo.
Isn't that the chick who's
as
saying
Mary
X's and O's?
Mary Ellen Trainor.
Close again.
No. No. And then we've got Tom Woodruff Jr. as Gillman.
Legally
The
distinct
creature
fish
of the
monster.
Gill-
Which
Yeah.
I'd like to point out right now because I'm sure I'll forget. Because you said that in the chat, like we were all watching at different times. Nick started first, then I caught on, and Cameron started.
I was already
before
home.
we were even born. You got exactly a 30-minute start on me because whenever you said that you had finished it, I checked the time how long it would take for me, and it was like literally 32 minutes, and I'm like, oh. But so he's never called Gillman that I saw.
No.
But
I don't think that actually.
he is clever. It's clever. They do. The only time they refer to him at all is whenever that kid with his dog goes up and he's like, "Creature ate my Twinkie." It's not copyright. It's not saying creature from the Black Lagoon. The creature, like just because he's missing the pronoun there or whatever. What's the? No, not.
Adjective.
Dude, that is like so bad.
That would be sentence structure.
That's
too close to
the
math.
end of a word. Yes, that is like words like the and him and no, it's very ambiguous. It's like the creature, a creature. You don't know what he's saying. Just creature took my Twinkie. It's like, some little Song of the South bullshit. You can say, oh, we were racist, so it was okay. Like, oh, this kid was dumb, so we can get away with copyright infringement. Sorry, I briefly channeled Disney's lawyers for a second.
And last on the casting bill, we've got
Not least. At least in my opinion.
not least at all,
Very
Michael
not so.
Reed McKay as Mummy.
Mummy.
Not
the Mummy.
Again,
Don't get me started on the mummy.
Then we've got, as I said, music by Bruce Broughton.
Broughton, I think.
Cinematography
How is it spelled?
cinematography by Bradford May.
G-H-T.
Yeah,
Broughton.
it's a weird English name. Edited by
English
James
on it.
Mitchell,
No,
distributed
no
by
other work he's
TriStar Pictures. Yeah. So this movie came out August 14th, 1987. Runtime's 82 minutes. They actually, we'll get to this in a little bit, but it was cut down. I always remember this movie being longer, and I think it's because I saw some TV versions of it, which actually had some deleted scenes in it and kept it a little bit closer to the 90-minute runtime that they shot for, and a couple versions shot past the 90 minutes, I think. So, but yeah, it's not a super long movie. The initial budget was $12 million. It only grossed $3.8 million. So it was definitely like a critical, or not a critical, but I guess a critical flop, I guess you would call it. It was
just because of the time it came out.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
So what year did it come out again?
87.
87.
It's following up the likes of Back to the Future and oh shit, I got 3 movies, then I was like Back to the Future, and I'm like, that's before. When did the sequels of that come out? It was one of them came out in 87, right? But then I lost it. I'm sorry.
No, you're
Hey,
good.
so does the eye next to the live thing show how many people are watching?
Yes, I believe so.
I think so.
Oh, thank God. Okay, I should be a lot less nervous now. All right, let's get into this. All right, let's get serious.
Yeah, so
Let's get
it grossed 3.8 million. So before we get into the plot rundown and all that, let's go ahead, and I believe Boss Man's got the trailer pulled up for us, so we'll go ahead and play that so you guys can get that juicy trailer action.
Oh, daddy.
You know who to call when you have ghosts. But who do you call when you have monsters?
We're the Monster Squad. What's a squad? It's like Miami Vice, I think.
They're young and inexperienced.
Naughty virgin.
They're a bit disorganized.
Monsters are not real.
We don't know that, sir.
2,000-year-old dead guys do not get up and walk away by themselves.
But when strange things start happening in town,
There's a monster in my closet.
Ooh, look at that big, scary monster.
What's happening?
You wait till a werewolf.
Silver bullet?
they're the only ones ready to do battle.
Because he's out there just killing people. And if it's monsters, nobody's gonna do a thing about it but us.
And the creatures of the night shall rule the world.
Real monsters? Us? Midnight. In the world, remember? Maybe we can be like Mask Squad and Stitch, you know? 2 mask bombs.
We got 1035. Stick back up. Hurry up.
Or Nature Squad. The book is right. Don't you think it's all true?
By midnight,
You guys!
they won't seem so young anymore. The Monster Squad.
Wolfman's gone mad.
Beautiful.
man. Yeah, dude.
Oh my God.
I don't think I ever saw the trailer as a kid before I watched the movie, but it really would have made me want to
Oh,
watch the movie. knowing
I
how
definitely
kid I was.
watched it. Well, I watched it today, like specifically in preparation for this. I was like, oh wait, what is this movie again?
Yeah, I was more of a nerd. I was more like on the IMDb rooting through. I'm like, what other work do they do on it?
Oh yeah. To be fair, so I was super lazy with this project. Like there are a lot of times I'm pretty motivated with the whole podcast thing, but like, you know, sometimes, like I said, this was an exciting week. I had like 2 things happen. I was preoccupied.
Dude, how can you take it?
Right.
It's the Midwest, man.
How can
You don't do a lot of
mend
stuff.
A broken heart.
So we're going to do a quick plot rundown, which does it just so much shit happens in here. But here's a quick rundown. Young kids form a club that is devoted to monsters, but soon get more than they bargained for when Count Dracula adjourns to Earth. That's an interesting way to phrase it. Accompanied by Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, Mummy, and the Gillman. The Uglies are in search of a powerful amulet that will grant them power to rule the world. Our heroes, the Monster Squad, are the only ones daring to stand in their way.
Angulet.
The daring do.
Angulet.
Angulet.
No, I want it. It makes people angry.
So it's a Horcrux. It's the locket
Yes.
from the Deathly Hallows.
It's Dracula's Horcrux. Yeah,
So it's kind of funny. Hold on. It's funny that you say Frankenstein's monster because he's the only indication we have is the box he came in that says Frankenstein. Nobody calls him Frankenstein's monster. They say like my friend, or they say a dead guy. Nobody calls him anything.
Yes.
Just like Bill Man.
Yes,
Phoebe
Phoebe
calls
at
him
the very end of the movie,
Frankenstein.
Phoebe calls him Frankenstein as he's being pulled.
When he's being sucked in.
Yeah, she's like, no, Frankenstein.
I was writing a note
no.
whenever that scene happened, but I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm 100% sure that you're right. Yes.
Yeah. And I know that we were
Plus,
talking
they had
about
the discussion earlier in the treehouse when they're inducting Rudy into the Monster Club, Monster Squad, Monster Club. When they're discussing it, part of the test was he was like, Is Frankenstein the monster or the guy that?
Yeah, that's why I caught that, because they brought it up,
Right.
not because of people on the internet are dicks about it, but
like us to each other.
hey, okay, I was trying to be coy.
It's like I can't admit that I call my friends idiots and stuff. Bunch of idiots.
Yeah, dumbass. Come on.
Hey, you fucking moron. You know that?
I always get it. So this movie's like heavily equated to the Goonies. Like, I mean, obviously it's 80s, so like any like movies
It's
in
80s
this.
kids.
Yeah,
it's
going to be equated to Goonies.
I have a hard counter to that, though.
Opinion,
That's sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just saying, like, because I said this before we started streaming, before we started recording. I really felt like it was Stand By Me, but a little bit more fun, a little bit more lighthearted, mixed with just Universal. Like,
oh, for sure, 100%.
So
Universal Stand By Me, but just not, without the threatening to stab a child part. There's some dark bits, but I don't think anything kind of got as dark as like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of cool because it highlights our differences in like films and what we kind of enjoy or kind of gravitate towards. Is
Stephen King, man.
Because Stand By Me is exactly what I was thinking too. Like it's like Stand By Me, but combined with what was the Fred Savage monster movie?
Oh shit.
Shameless.
Yeah, you guys have computers. I'm not doing shit. I'm not jeopardizing this thing we have going on.
Little Monsters.
What?
Yes.
Little Monsters.
Little Monsters.
Little Monsters. Yes. Yeah. So it was like a combination of those two in a way. But like, and I can see the Goonies allegory thing going on there. Allegory. Well, the Goonies is Holy Scripture, so yes, it's an allegory. But
it was in every Bible I ever read it as a kid.
It was. I feel like Goonies is almost too much of a credit. Now, bear with me. So this movie, first of all, to preface what I'm about to say, it pairs so well with our typical
our podcast.
Our podcast.
I was going to say,
it's literally this is. So imagine if you're a Beetleborgs or Beetle Bros listener, viewer, if you're a first time listener, many time viewer, flip the script. Getting on this right now, and you're familiar with our whole
shtick.
Our shtick, yeah.
I'm trying to be a little more eloquent here. Thanks for filling it in.
Our usual.
I'm also trying to remember what the fuck I'm talking about.
Familiar with our usual
subject
matter. Our subject matter, plot structures.
Universal Monsters, but
the show Hillhurst Monsters, that is the infamous, to the small sect that are familiar with it, the infamous IMDb page in which it holds like 1% ground in reality. It was a concept that was thrown around at one point, but it was like 0% to fruition. It's literally as if the Hillhurst Monsters TV show was allowed to take off, but it was like canceled after a pilot, but then it was brought back as like a singular movie. It's kind of like the Chilling Tales of Sabrina or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
And what they're going to ruin the Powerpuff Girls with. I don't know if you guys knew about the live action Powerpuff Girls that's about to happen, but
I assume it'll be like the Wix thing that they did. Or Winks?
Yeah.
Wix? Whatever. The fairy thing.
Oh, the fairy show my sister used to watch.
Winks Club or Wix Club?
Hey, I was just talking to your sister, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry.
She messaged me.
Oh, she mentioned. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was drunk last night and messaged a lot of people.
It happens.
A lot of people. I messaged a few people, including the two of the people I'm here with. That's the two.
Four.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this movie, like it fits. Obviously, it fits really well into like our forte and what we're used to seeing.
Yeah. As I was kind of getting the idea of the plot synopsis again, because I was like, I saw that, but what exactly was it about again? Hold on, let me refresh and everything, and do a little background research before I like watch it again. And pulled it up and just saw, I saw Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman, and I went, could not have picked a better group to do this movie. I was like, man, was it a coincidence, or did you just go, I know what to do. I know what to do for the pod swap.
No, it's sorry. I'm just a dumbass. I'm clumsy and a dumbass. So sorry. I made one foul move and then I ruined the whole fucking show for the third time.
We get the fancy software for the first time, so it takes there's some growing pains. It's okay. Yeah.
I swear to God.
This isn't
just give me time. My life's in ruins right now.
O'Hare in Chicago.
Yeah, that's true.
every 5 minutes, yeah.
So
one of the big things that I think this movie does kind of uniquely from something like even like the Goonies or any of the other kind of like monster like Gremlins or any other monster movies
make fun of mentally disabled people.
Well, that's true. It doesn't have that.
That is true.
No, it doesn't have that. It has some stuff that doesn't age well. That's not one of them, luckily, this time.
The way the kids talk to each other, it doesn't age well, but I wanted to say it's the most accurate real life depiction of like sixth graders in the world and how they treated each other. Like I was like, oh man, this is from '87, and then I stopped and thought about it, and I went, no, I'm pretty sure I heard. Yeah, it's fifth grade for me too.
They say, and it's, for example, I'm gonna get canceled over this. Okay, I'm ready. I'm taking the plunge right here. They say the F word and not fuck, you dumb cunt. It's one that I'm not comfortable saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I was sorry. I was looking at my vent like it was my camera for some reason. Like I said, I'm a dumbass.
I have it from work.
I'm talking to the people in the walls.
Yeah. I'm actually Jim from The Office.
So this movie, I think it like shares a lot with in plot structure to movies like The Goonies and stuff, but veers away from other movies like Gremlins and things that I see, at least online, I see it equated a lot to shows like Gremlins and Little Monsters, where it has an obvious MacGuffin, it has the amulet, and it has kind of almost in the vein of the Beetleborgs plot structures that we're used to, where it has the two plot structures kind of combining of the monsters have this goal of Dracula is trying to get the amulet so that he can plunge the world into darkness and take over everything. And then there's the kids who are like coming together to defeat it. And obviously they're the only ones who recognize the threat and all that.
It's going on.
It's the classic. It's the hero's journey is what it is. It's just which version of it are they going with? And they're going with the band of heroes. Friendship is magic. My Little Pony route.
The real monsters were the friends we made along the way.
Yes, Lady Gaga, that's true.
my monstars. Because I'm from Space Jam. So they're my monsters.
All right, everybody, I want a clean, fair game. Oh, I turned Kermit. Where was the kaboom? All right, everybody, I want a clean, fair game. There's no Kermit at the end. Why can't I see? That's
I would
the
like
problem.
to see Space Jam with Muppets, though.
Oh yeah, called. Oh, no, I can't do them. I can't. Sorry.
It's just quite obviously like Shaq with a Kermit Muppet on.
He's not even doing a voice. He's just like, yeah, that's why I buy Allstate. I'm like, yeah, isn't that cool, Kermit?
Yeah, just puts it in. I agree, Cam. Yeah, it does kind of venture away from that like average kind of late '80s like format like that with the kids movie.
Actually,
kids movie. Kids movie. It wouldn't be a kids movie now. At least
have any of you guys have either of you actually have any zero of you guys on stream seen? Have you viewed and or listened to the movie Can of Worms from like the 90s?
I don't think so.
Really?
I think so, no.
Oh my god! Oh fuck!
We just made his day.
Yeah, that's the next bonus episode. Fuck y'all.
All right.
It's actually so I made Sydney watch it, and that might have been what. So I made my ex-girlfriend watch it, and that maybe is why she is a lesbian now.
My ex-girlfriend.
Sorry, I don't know if it's possible to change history right there, but I didn't want to out her, even though she's pretty much out to everyone. But yeah, much love. This is what led to her turning to the not the dark side, the light side. Dark side's heterosexuality. I don't know how people handle dicks. Men and penises, that's a whole terrible, scary world. But I digress. Can of Worms is a great 90s flick where this nerdy kid, it's a lot like this movie, like in the vibes. So this nerdy kid like contacts aliens somehow, and this thing comes down, and this alien comes out, and he's like, you reap the rewards. You open this can of worms, now you gotta deal with it, bitch. And basically this kid's life is ruined because of it. I don't know how much I can possibly describe without literally being on acid.
That's fair.
Sorry.
Okay.
I should take the back seat if you want to do this in time and me not disrupt my housemate.
No, you're fine.
I will not disrupt my housemate. Take a sip of rum.
Sorry, my hands got sweaty and I dropped my phone.
So I think I've mentioned it a couple times already, and I told you guys today. I've seen this movie like an uncountable number of times.
Can I quote you?
Yeah.
May I quote you, sir? Is this on the record?
Yes.
He said, OMG, whenever he said, have you never watched or have you ever seen this before? I said, never. He said, oh, I watch this 3 to 4 times a year.
I do. It's probably more than that.
Favorite movies I don't watch that much, and I still watch them many times a year for the average viewer.
Saving Private Ryan, I make time to watch at least once a year, but that's once a year.
Oh yeah,
I do the same.
Yeah.
I like
that Full Metal Jacket, Pulp Fiction, Oh Brother We're Out There. If I actually have access to it, actually, there's a handful I make time for at least once a year.
Yeah. And then Cameron's like, War Monster Squad.
Well, so one of the reasons that I watch it so often is because if it shows up in a local theater, I just go to watch it. So like Katie and I saw it. It was double featured at an outdoor theater in North KC with I think it was House of Dracula, which is another like monster mashup movie from the 40s with Frankenstein and the Wolfman and
Abbott and Costello. The whole gang was there.
I think it is the one that came out right before the Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein that had the whole cast and crew together again.
Wait.
Because I think that was one of the last movies that came out.
Okay, so Abbott and Costello Meet the Wolfman is the one where they meet Wolfman and the Invisible Man. Did they also have a Meet Frankenstein?
Yeah, there's one with Frankenstein. It has Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and Dracula.
Did that come out after Meet the Wolfman?
I can't remember the timeline on it, but it's either right after or right before because they were like back to back. But I know
I've seen both of them, but I only remember the Wolfman because I had it on DVD.
They had to bring back Lon Chaney Jr. for that because he had already done all the Wolfman movies, and they had done either House of Frankenstein or House of Dracula. Is when I think it's House of Frankenstein. He gets he gets killed for like the official final time, even though he gets killed in pretty much every movie that the Wolfman's in.
He pulls a Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because we're on a horror podcast.
They even pointed out in the movie, it's Dell, it's Sean's dad. Of course he rises from the grave. They always do.
Yeah.
He could put his head in the blender and rise from the grave.
One of the fun things that I think gets highlighted in this movie specifically is how hard it is to kill a werewolf. And it's like a running joke throughout a bunch of it that you can only kill a werewolf with a silver bullet. And it's like a gag constantly to give Ruby shit.
I did like how after he got the Wolfman got gatted down in the police station, and then he turned and kills the guy in the truck. Whenever he like
the
wakes up, he coughs
ambulance
the bullets
driver.
up.
Yeah.
Ambulance driver. That's it. It wasn't. Yeah. Yes. He gets up, coughs the bullets up, and he's like, "Ah, shit."
God. And just like
Mucinex, shit.
there's so much like foreshadowing in when all the kids are talking in the Monster Club about ways that you can kill the werewolf.
Certain
And so you
monsters.
blow them up and all this kind of stuff, and then they're going in.
Well, because they didn't know.
Right.
They were trying to like. I think they were like goofing him or something.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
it's
it's
obvious.
what is it?
Like they were doing the kid. We do this too. If anybody's a part of any fandom, you theorize, you postulate. You're like, oh, but what about like this and this? And
You make 14 head cannons in a span of 1 hour,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
our show.
you make a podcast instead of going to therapy.
Or you do
But-
both.
So in the original, it's the Lon Chaney Wolfman, the Wolfman, only with silver, like a cane or a silver bullet or whatever. I've quoted on the podcast more accurately. Go find it. Just watch the clip. I'm not your mom.
Just go listen to our entire catalog to find it really quick.
Yeah, come on. Like you have time. But yeah, it doesn't really specify. It's just like, okay, silver. All right, that's the thing. Like Wolfsbane in some lore is obviously like a repellent or made for a potion to like resist or cure. But it's silver is the only thing that kills the werewolf. So it's like, I forgot the point. But
They really drive that home in this movie specifically because he gets blown to shit and gatted down, and it has to be the silver bullet.
So of course, like there's so many ways you can postulate that. Like it's too much of a cure-all.
Sliding back together. God, I love that scene. God, I love
Yeah, it reminds me so much. Obviously, it is inspired by the Robot Chicken sketch that had to have come before this, where it's the werewolf and he gets like blended up, eaten, shit out, and processed through like fire and shit, and turned to ash and basically reduced chemically to its most anatomically basic principles. And then it cuts to a whole bunch of kids, and they're like, "No, then he still wouldn't be dead." And it's like, "Are you fucking with me?" It's like there has to be a limit to this, and it's like it's one of those perfect like runs of the imagination that you would have gone through as a kid or an adult if you haven't had any ounce of if you haven't had the entirety of your childhood trounced out by the horrible capitalistic machine.
Right.
I got to make every statement political. It's in my contract. TJ, let me out.
I was like, if they don't know who you are at the start of the episode, they're going to definitely know who you are by the end.
Yeah, so there's one of the things that I think that like draws at least me to the movie, and I think that probably like caught your guys' eye and catches a lot of people's eye. And one of the reasons that it has
on the people changing
Well, okay,
on the
that
one
too.
specific woman changing every time. That's why I watched
all
it.
the monster designs and suit work is done by Stan Winston. And Stan Winston's
He's a
school
Ghostbuster.
and
He's the
crew
black
and all-
guy.
Yes, the same. You've got it.
Right?
Nailed it. One of the things that I keep finding every time I try to look up anything about the monster work or the suit work or anything like that, because the special effects and the practical effects in this are, I think,
I don't know
like
why that name didn't
just great. And they had to maintain these like legally distinct monsters throughout. We talked about it a little bit earlier where they've got Frankenstein's monster is public domain and Dracula's public domain, but the Wolfman is a universal character. Creature from the Black Lagoon is a universal character. And obviously you can't really copyright like Mummy, so that's fine.
Right.
But if you try to do that specific
like the Mummy, the first one, it's just a mummy.
Right.
Yeah, it's not specific enough. It's not like Victor Frankenstein created his monster, which I mean that's novels, based off novel, but like
my favorite out of all of them in this.
Really? Oh, this, yes, for
thought.
sure.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know. Frankenstein's monster kind of holds a different place in my heart, but like we're talking about like first versus third ventricle here. There's no comparison. Like they're different, but obviously one like is.
Right.
You know,
you
got different.
the mummy's design in this. I genuinely thought it was the creepiest out of any of them. The scene
Dude.
where Jean's dad is pulling the closet door open, the mummy inside, looking up and everything. I was like,
look at the monster, you little bitch!
I was like, that right there, just going on in the closet, would probably be the creepiest part of the movie if it wasn't for it being absolutely hilarious with the dad sitting next to me, like,
right?
Oh, get out of there, monster! And then closes it, and then the mummy proceeded to book it, because when Eugene just kind of puts his hands over his eyes, the door was closed, it never opened. He turned and looked, and the mummy was already out the window. I was like, man,
with the trail of gauze.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's funny because whenever he opened the door, let's see, lend me your energy, and by that I mean support my phone. Okay, he's doing like the whole like mummy sarcophagus pose.
Right.
So what if he's just like, all right, closet, dank space, here we go. Like
Similar enough to a sarcophagus.
I'm not vibing with any of this. I just want to go to sleep. And then this kid's like,
yeah.
Oh, God damn it, I need another place to sleep.
Yeah.
Like he's just squatting. My man just needs to come down from like 1,000-year heroin addiction. I don't know.
He was in it and just go, oh, sick, there's an ecto cooler in here. What? Because it's the 80s.
I think a cool thing that this movie does that not a lot of the other like monster mash movies that have a bunch of Universal type monsters or straight up the Universal monster crossover movies, where Dracula is 100% like in charge. He is the villain, the focus of it, and he is the one summoning all the monsters to do his bidding and to come. They're in his control. Like the Wolfman throughout the whole thing. We talked about how Jonathan Gries is called Desperate Man. Like he actively doesn't want to participate in this and is drugged when he's not transformed so that he's not having to so that he doesn't get a say in anything because he's not under Dracula's control when he's a human.
Right. It's because he runs into the police station at the start of it, just like, put me in a goddamn cage.
Yeah. It's a lot like Oz from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who is played by Seth Green. He was the werewolf that dated Willow, played by Allison Hannigan, of How I Met Your Mother fame and American Pie fame, and my very respectful, swear to God, fantasies of maybe there is love in this world.
I thought you were going to say dreams.
But it was better.
That too. Yes. But he's like, it's like Oz from that, combined with if anybody's seen League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the Jekyll Hyde character, Dr. Jekyll, of course, being like, I don't want to fucking be this monster. And they're like, we need Sean Connery. I like to hit women, Mr. Trebek. All right. We need a Hulk. All right. So that's my Scottish accent. That's how I get in the zone. It's their Hulk to the Loki. He doesn't like to hit women. He just thinks it's acceptable to. I don't mean to put him badly or anything.
Or at least
guffaw.
The 2002 interview or whatever the hell that was.
Yeah, to be fair, that's 18 years ago. I can't hold. Oh, he's dead. Isn't he?
Sean Connery dead?
Is Sean Connery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't make me look this up.
I was like, it was
make me question myself. I said it so confidently at first, and then both of you were so confused.
No. You're right. Because
I was in denial about it. I'm so used to talking about him in the present tense.
No. Nick's right. You guys are right. Okay. So I've got some fun behind the scenes factoids. I've got some notes that I jotted down. I'm going to snag a couple of them and read them out to you guys.
Do it, Daddy.
I know Nick's got a couple too. So if I say something
I took way more notes than I thought I was going to take. I just had scenes that I was just like,
dude, I mean, this is more notes than I've taken for Beetleborgs since like the 5th episode.
There's more content.
And if you'll notice, I started in one pin type and then I had to shift to another.
y'all dumb motherfuckers want a key change?
Because I know I'm pandering.
So I'm going to jump through a couple of these. Nick or Ryan, if you guys get some input in between some of these, just jump in and let me know.
I have to shut up for at least 6.5 minutes.
We'll time you.
Please do. It's 8:32.
All right. So the scene where Dracula lifts Phoebe up and screams was done in one take. So this is at the end of the the climax of the film. Yeah, he picks her up and he screams. He screams, "Give it to me! Give me the amulet, you bitch!" So that was done in one take. I know that was done in one take. Duncan Rigger. He wouldn't wear his red contacts or fangs around 5-year-old Ashley Bank because it scared her too much. So for that scene,
did he actually call her a bitch in that scene though? Did he?
Yeah.
I wasn't holding a double or anything.
He might have been holding a double, but she was definitely there because the scream and terror that she lets out is from the fact that he had never been in full makeup and full costume with fangs and eyes and everything until that scene because it scared her too much. So the director was Fred Decker told her to scream once the platform raised up and lifted her up. She's on a platform during that shot.
And then they just jump scared her with
they put a noose around her neck and hoisted her up.
Jesus, because
it was the 80s, safety regulations.
I wonder if they had to do kind of like what they did with the first Clerks, where Jeff Anderson had to film the scene separately where he's reading off the porno titles that he has to order for the store because he used to read it in front of the mom and her
mom and her daughter.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because even as they said it, I was like, did they actually have this man scream "you bitch" into the face of a 5-year-old child?
Yeah, I was like, fuck, what? Yeah, see, y'all are going so out of order that I'm trying to find all my notes and it doesn't help because I have terrible handwriting.
I'm just digging through fun trivia that I pulled.
Kids are dicks.
The director specifically was like, scream, once the platform raised her, and she wanted to know when. She's like, when? He's like, you'll know.
I said, you bitch, calm yourself.
Sorry, Liam Neeson wasn't even paid for a bit part that was never shot. So
what?
Liam Neeson? Yeah, he got paid to be in this movie, and they never filmed him.
No,
I don't know what the bit part was for. No. I know.
Damn it.
I assume it was probably something.
I can imagine it. I don't know how many
I would picture it as being in the Van Helsing intro.
Liam, if you're watching, we need an interview. We need to talk about this. We need a stern talking to. All right, come many kilometers so you can pretend to be a Western person with your Eastern accent.
We'll sort it out eventually.
Please do, Liam.
The brief
He's
scene where
obviously a Patreon that is no longer existent because we don't do that now.
The brief scene where Frankenstein's monster meets Phoebe playing by the water. It's obviously
Adam. Okay.
Yeah, it's a clear homage to a similar, but obviously more tragic scene in the original Frankenstein film.
Of course, this is my first time, and Cameron knows this like the back of his very old man hand. And Nick is vaguely aware. So but he had the head start. He was already aware of this. So I was kind of the late comer to this. I took a picture of her by the lake with the flowers and the monster approaching. And I said, LOL, I know where this is going, Lenny face. Because I was like, oh, for sure. He's just going to drown a bitch. Why not? It's the 80s. Yeah. What are they going to do? Think you're not Ted Cruz, the Zodiac killer?
Well, that's what happens in the 31 movie.
Not only Zodiac killer, but historically accurate and not a meme. Riot, insurgency, What's the right legal term you call it?
Insider?
No. What did they do? They stormed the Capitol. A coup, failed coup propagator. Ted Cruz.
That's the word.
It's a two-seater car, dummy. Come on.
But
You're gonna have to go pee soon. It's gonna be bad.
So that scene in the 31 movie with Boris Karloff was apparently supposed to be more like this version of the scene where the monster was actually like more friendly to the girl and found
God,
like
what did I do?
Made to be more like the one that would come out 56 years.
Right. So then here's the big thing that we've been talking about for a little while. So due to licensing issues, the crew had to create characters that were suggestive but not exact copies of Universal's iconic monsters.
Instead of Booberella, they had to use Nipperella.
Yeah. It was weird, but it's
deleted scene. You won't see it on Crackle, but it's there.
So this is from Shane Mann. The challenge was to suggest those classic creatures without really copying them because we didn't have permission or licenses to use those specific images. So we could do a gill man, for example, but it couldn't look too much like the creature from the Black Lagoon. It was frustrating at first.
Very obviously did not have a throat.
Yeah.
They compromised by looking too much like Swamp Scumoid.
Yeah. It was
I
frustrating.
drew that bitch. I know what he looks like.
We wanted to do the original designs, but we couldn't. We could only suggest those designs. So Frankenstein's monster looks a bit like Karloff's creature, but instead of bolts on the neck, he has bolts on his forehead, which is what they do with Frankie in Beetle Bros.
Yeah, it's a really common adaptation because it's like, oh yeah, let's put him in the brain instead of in the neck where it's like, what are we tying to the spinal cord, I guess? Like it makes a lot more sense. And not only that, just artistically speaking, because I've grown up on Universal monsters and stuff. I've drawn the Frankenstein visage, silhouette, whatever. Like it's a lot easier to do it on the temple than the neck because the neck's a little bit more of a complicated, not perspective, scaling piece to the rest of it. Like it's artistically, in my opinion, on the forehead just makes a little bit more sense. It's more convenient for makeup because your temple's not twisting and turning. You don't have a lot of questions from people like me who like to get high and cross over podcasts and forget what the original point of their statements were.
It helps with those.
You're doing great.
So a fun thing that I figured out while looking into this. So this movie is not based on the 1970. It's not based on or a remake of or anything. The 1976 short-lived TV show called Monster Squad.
Yeah, I saw that was
for sure.
Topics for this episode. Yeah. I saw that, and every time I was just like, no, nothing.
Yeah, so there's a 1976
I actually knew that as trivia before this.
Yeah, it's three wax monsters: a Dracula, a Wolfman, and a Frankenstein come to life to battle evil in this short-lived television series. I've got to find it somewhere now because I need to at least watch an episode because it sounds fucking weird.
It does kind of sound weird. I'd watch it too.
Yeah.
Cameron looks like TJ.
Well, yeah. Why did you think I got this part?
Why do you think he and I are going to be doing
got the part and we went for a year and then it was like, oh, here's TJ and it's like, oh, here's Brody and it's like, oh, here's Nick and it's like now we've got 4 clones and I'm starting to really wonder when Order 66 is going to happen. I'm going to just get like,
join us, Ryan.
You know, if I could grow the same facial hair you guys could, I would. But like, honestly, it doesn't. Beyond this,
you got your own
thing.
Stops.
I've got the Tony Stark almost.
Yeah,
like I can do that or a pedophile. Not a lot of options. The goatee opens your world up a whole lot more. It's like Ariel walking on her feet.
Right.
Yeah. So I mentioned this a little bit where
just tell me to shut up.
I had seen more. I had seen longer versions of this than what my DVD copy is, and than what I've seen in like theater releases or re-releases, I guess. So the TV print that's shown on TNT contains roughly 4 minutes of additional deleted scenes not included in the DVD release, including one in the opening scene immediately following the opening title. One of Van Helsing's men fights off one of the vampire women and accidentally pulls the stake out of Dracula's chest, which resurrects him. And that, I believe, in House of Frankenstein is how they bring Dracula back. They've got Dracula's skeleton in a coffin, and a carny guy pulls the stake out, and it resurrects him. 2, in an extended comedy routine scene between the two pilots flying Dracula and Frankenstein's coffin in the World War II bomber plane, which always does feel a little like weirdly short, but I imagine if it was any longer, it would just be unbearable. 3, a scene between Phoebe and her mother in the kitchen. Of course. The mother tells Phoebe to go watch her favorite TV show, but Phoebe says her PTA won't let her on the grounds that it contains too much sex, which leads the mother to retort under her breath, "We could use a little sex in this house."
Man, Del just getting roasted the whole movie. And then his partner getting literally roasted by Dracula later. Which I think was probably my favorite kill.
Yeah, 100%.
My favorite kill is the Mummy. The Mummy is hands down my favorite kill, and whenever we get to that point, don't let me forget that I have some passion about this.
Yeah.
The Mummy kill's my favorite. It is hands down like a star in my notes.
Yeah. That and Rudy taking the giant stakes and log bowing them into the vampire women.
And whenever the coach finally let Rudy play because they were ahead and couldn't lose, and he was like, what can I do besides casting Samwise Gamgee?
So there's an extended scene where the boys are discussing whether or not they know what a virgin is, leading to them asking Rudy if he knows any.
Which in turn leads to Donna's Like a Virgin soliloquy. There are many people involved. The Like a Virgin conversation in Reservoir Dogs at the very beginning. It plays, and it's really funny because then it pans out and it's these little boys watching that conversation happen, and they're like, "It's a virgin."
Spot on.
Pretty much.
When the boys and Frankenstein go to the mansion to retrieve the amulet, there's an additional scene showing them approaching the house with Horace expressing.
Are you approaching me?
Horace expresses his fear. And then there's a scene of Rudy putting his arm around Patrick's sister to his disgust as they observe the carnage following the movie's finale. So at the end, that was the final battle. I guess it's like it's a longer scene.
Arm around her.
Yeah, I guess there's it's a longer scene in the TNT release. In 2006, this is a fun one. Wizard magazine made a list of 100 greatest villains of all time. Dracula was ranked as number 30 on the list, but it was specifically Dunstan's performance as Dracula. Awesome. Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's so crazy because the Dracula trope has been played so many times by people very good at it. Like, I'm not saying it was bad this time. Like this dude. So okay, hold on. Let me. I need to consult my notes.
He killed LL Cool J.
Hold on, sorry.
And this was 2006, so there had been a shit ton of Draculas by this point.
Dracula 3000 was already out. What the fuck?
We've gone to everything except for Dracula.
Okay, so hold on, sorry. This specific Dracula, I've absorbed a lot of Castlevania, Bram Stoker, those are the two things that make up the entirety of the vampire content on this earth. Actually, bullshit, sis. I did in fact read all of the Twilight Saga. The movies aren't as good as the books, and the books aren't as good books are. But,
the books aren't as good as books.
Sorry, Stephanie Meyer, but I grew up thinking J.K. Rowling was talented, so deal with that. But one of the comments I wrote down was Dracula, Prince of the Bitch Slap. So the fact that this motherfucker's going around just like, bitch, where is my pimp cup? whoosh, just like the entire time. That's what he's doing. Even to children, he is bitch slapping them. That is his one thing. He shows up on set. He has a smoke machine. He bitch slaps someone. He goes home. That's his MO.
It's pretty much
and I'm done.
pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Actually, I do have to go pee, so I don't know if I'm gonna ruin things by doing this. But have fun watching my ceiling for a hot sec.
No, we'll just go into some more notes while you're doing that.
Do it, Triple. I dare you, bitch.
Do it. So there's at least 2 versions of Michael Cimbello's end credit song. In some versions dating back to the VHS release days, there's a lyric referring to the Gillman swimming in the pool as of 2007 in the recent HD cable release, which I believe is the version that I have on the DVD set. This is replaced simply by The Creature from the Black Lagoon. And I distinctly remember the end credit scene in my DVD copy says The Creature from the Black Lagoon. And the song that I saw at Screenland last Halloween was also The Creature from the Black Lagoon one and not Gillman swimming in the pool. So I don't know if that's because, I don't know, maybe they used the same DVD copy or whatnot at the theater. During the montage with the Monster Squad getting ready to stop Dracula, Sean points at where Shadowbrook Road is on the map, which is where the big spooky house is.
Yes, 666 Shadowbrook Road, which I made a note of because I was like, fucking hell.
Right. And on the map, there's Cheney College with it. That's a callback to Lon Chaney Jr., who played the original Wolfman.
Yes.
And I think Ryan may have mentioned this or may have just caught it when we were talking earlier, but Mary Ellen Trainor, who plays the mother of the lead siblings in this movie, also played the mother of the lead siblings in The Goonies. She's the mom in The Goonies.
Okay. And I have a bunch of notes of a lot of other work that most of it's mostly the crew and the director.
Yeah, dive into it.
All that has been on. So one of the co-writers for this, Shane Black, is actually one of my favorites. So he actually is. Sorry, just talk through it, Nick. Just talk through it. So Shane Black actually is one of the co-writers. I got some of his other. Because of course, as soon as I go to talk about it off the top of my head. So he actually has been an actor in some other work as well. He was Hawkins. He was the radio operator that cracked all the jokes in the first Predator movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that is. He co-wrote this. Yes, he co-wrote this. He also so he wrote Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 as well as Last Action Hero. So he was doing a lot back in the 80s around the same time that he was doing this.
Okay,
Last Action Hero was 85, I believe, or no, maybe 87 or 88, around the same time as this. Because I remember Last Action Hero was the whole play on all the action movies, so it had to be later into the whole. But I can't think off the top of my head. But yeah, he eventually started directing movies, and his directorial debut was Iron Man 3.
I
was waiting to tell you that in case you hadn't known that already. I was like, oh, this is gonna blow Ryan's fucking mind.
That is explicitly why I remember his name. Everything else was like, but that, okay. That that makes sense.
Iron Man 3. He just directed The Predator that just came out.
Oh, the new one?
Years ago. Yeah, the new one.
Okay.
And then jumping back a little bit, another one that I really like, a buddy cop comedy movie. He directed The Nice Guys, the one with Ryan Gosling and love that movie, man. So I saw Shane Black pop up on the IMDb for it, and I was like, I didn't fucking know you, man. Oh my god, yes. So I was fanning out the entire fucking movie as well. And then I mentioned as well earlier, Bruce, we couldn't pronounce his last name.
From Finding Dory?
The composer did the music. Bruce Broughton also did the music for a little movie you might know called Homeward Bound.
Oh, that's a weird.
Yeah, that's what I wanted was Ryan to do exactly that. He did it for 1 and 2.
That soundtrack, dude. When
Yes.
when Shadow appears in the horizon, like, oh yeah, we got the bulldog and the cat, but like Shadow, come on, Shadow is he's there. He just shows up. And he's like, I got out of that hole, boy. And I'm like,
But yeah, and then a little
he's
bit
a good boy.
I think one of the most
Sorry.
you're fine. One of the most well-known ones I can find for the director, Fred Decker. So he actually co-created RoboCop 3 with Frank Miller. Which was the first movie I found out to apparently use digital morphing for multiple scenes.
Frank Miller, of course, is the Punisher.
Yes.
Sorry.
Castle.
Little Franks, what can you do? It's French
Frank Miller is the
currency.
graphic artist that created Frank Miller's RoboCop and a bunch he worked with Fred Decker for actually a few projects, I believe, as well. But yeah, that was just the probably the most well known. I think everyone was going to know was the RoboCop 3, which was not received well, unfortunately.
I mean, RoboCop 1
you win some, you lose
is
some.
the top, and then it's
That one
just
grossed-
step downs from there.
Right. Well, I mean, like that one doubled its budget. This one's a cult classic and made a third of its budget. Like it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of
it's a give and a take.
that sort of late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
It's
Early
a
90s
Dredd versus
audience, I
Judge
guess.
Dredd situation. What are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of the tidbits that I sort of brought together from a lot of the different work that they did that I really liked and stuff that I knew I thought would be cool to talk about as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I really like your bits.
Yeah, especially just that Bruce doing the music for fucking Homeward Bound. Like, just I didn't know that at all, and I was like, this is the best thing I think I've learned about this movie, except for the part about Shane Black being any part of it at all.
Right.
He could have been like a grip.
And you catch it.
I would have been like, oh my god,
yeah. So we've got a few questions that we're going to run through that Mr. Chad has provided for us, and Mr. TJ has so kindly put in here for us.
Oh
so
no,
we've got
boss man.
I know you guys watch this on Crackle, right?
Yes, I think we
on
all
online streaming.
You watch it on your fucking DVD at home. You were like,
I did, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, fuck you then. Well, so Nick and I both viewed it on the same platform, but to varying experiences because. Yeah. So mine, I don't know if it was if it's going to be recorded. Whatever's knowledgeable here. So I was on my laptop that isn't my like up to date laptop. I had to use my old laptop because since the move, for some reason, my good laptop isn't working. My old laptop, however, hasn't apparently been updated since 2019. Last time I tried, it was a couple hours before I gave up. And so I'm watching on outdated software, basically. And it was very stuttery is the word.
Your browser might be the cause then if it hasn't been updated.
No, because the browser was able. I'm using Firefox. I've always used Firefox because it's the one thing that actually adapts to shit. Like I used Chrome for the longest time, and then I realized, oh, that's why if I have any sort of web browser open, I can't perform any other function on my computer because
36
fuck my RAM. Yeah, exactly. It is a laptop, but. Yeah, so I was on Firefox and it was still like dual. Like it was really funny whenever they were bullying the fat kid because the fat kid in those parts had what was his name? What's his actual name? Not Horace. Like real name. Horace. Yeah, because it sounds like Horace as the bully kid so brilliantly put it. Like his lines would come out fine because he'd have 2 or 3, but then you'd have the bully lines who would like have to make fun of him for 2 or 4 lines. So then it would be like, yeah, it's like Yeah, okay, you're ruining the immersion here, Mr. Not Tourette's, but whatever. Mr. Something he can't help, but obviously if he's going to bully somebody for something like being thick when they're like 10 years old, then yeah, I'm going to make fun of you for like...
He has a glandular problem,
yourself.
man. He's got a glandular problem.
So did you guys I guess having it on Crackle is worth it because it's a free streaming service, but it's obviously not going to be the highest quality, and it has ads.
It was fine
running through it.
The ads pissed me off. The ads made me want to die. But like the quality really of it was fine. It wasn't bad. It was standard def for sure, but it was just like a 480 rip. And back in the ye olden our days of early high school, pretty much everything that I watched was going to be a 480p DVD rip or something. Yeah. Pretty much
that
everything
was
my dad had
to me for up until about now.
Ripped to DVDs. So like my dad just like a spindle of home ripped DVDs. So like everything I watched was in 480. I don't give a shit about watching something in standard def.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
Like
yeah, and I watched it on my DVD copy, so I got probably the highest quality that's available. I don't know.
I mean, a lot less.
I don't think it's
for sure.
Right. I don't think it's been put out on Blu-ray or anything like that. I'm pretty sure it just has the DVD release. The DVD does have some nice bonus features and stuff on it. Original one. Yeah,
I saw that when I was researching it as well. The only VHS copy is the original, original release.
The one
That's
printing.
The only way to get it's the only way to get a VHS copy of this.
And one print to rule them all.
Yeah. All right. So who's the douche of the movie?
Oh, the douche of the movie. Hold on. I'm pretty sure I have their names written down here.
I was going to say, are you...
it started off for me being the bully kid, EJ.
Yeah, no, fuck those dicks.
But I was like,
not those guys. Because I wrote down the kids are dicks. Because I thought that they were like, ooh. I thought that they were like
even the main Sean could be a dick at times. Yeah. So like, my own note, I was like, half the time it's the main character. I was like, half the time it's Sean. Like,
I mean, honestly, Dracula is just like the biggest dick of all because even like, so Frankie's a defector. Wolfie doesn't follow through. Mums doesn't even really do much. He's just like, I'm going to try to sketch upon your bumper, my dude. And they're like, fuck that. You're going to die today. What other monsters even were there? Like, the vampire chicks. They don't even count in my book.
Yeah, the girls that got turned.
The Fembox
existed before that for roughly 2 seconds.
It implied that in the last few days, these vampires have abducted these teenage girls, presumably virgins, because it seems like they're going off the Bram Stoker Dracula.
Where they have to be a virgin to get turned, otherwise
exactly.
They just die.
Yeah. And how he had that whole like, oh fuck, what was the guy who was doing the journal in the book? Van
Helsing?
Was it John Van Helsing?
No, the first protagonist in the book. And I just watched the Netflix adaptation, and now I can't even
wait. The Netflix adaptation of Castlevania, in which Alucard has sex with a brother and sister.
That's the one
at the same time.
I also made a note of that at that one scene where he's looking at the board and he sees the Alucard, like Mr. Alucard or whatever on it.
Oh yeah.
And he's trying to write it, and he's trying to figure out that it's Dracula backwards or whatever, and it's taking him a minute. And he's doing it like 3 or 4 lines. I went, yes, it truly shows the time as the proper Castlevania game in which Alucard.
Yes, Jonathan Harker.
It's like 16, not 16. It's like 15 years away from coming out. Holy shit! Yeah. Symphony of the Night. I mean,
Jonathan Harker,
which is what a lot of people realize
the character that writes.
I thought it was 99. Oh, well, that's close.
Yeah.
Still like 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, I think Dracula counts as the douche of the movie. He really gets the most douchey lines, and he really gets to ham up the douchebaggery.
Because they don't even the main kids' parents that are going through counseling and shit, like you're obviously supposed to think that it's like, oh, the dad's just like so busy being a cop, and then it's like all of a sudden he's shooting Dracula on their porch step, and the mom is like, holy shit, you actually have something to deal with. Right. What are we gonna do? It doesn't have that like really bad. I'm not saying it's a good thing that they have it. Like it's really good that they avoid it. That trope can be done so badly, but they do it really well. It's a good combination of like Friday the 13th, where they have the parents involved with the sort of mystery of it, but they don't have it as like they're not the cure-all. They're not the
it
like
starts off as they're understandably
plot device, the Deus Ex Machina.
Shit kind of starts to hit the fan. They don't do the usual thing of every adult in a kids horror movie downplay until there's literally Ghostbusters level shit going on in the city or whatever. It just had to kind of get spooky enough that he was like, okay, hold the fuck on. Right.
They don't lean hard into that one parent that opened up the closet and was like, "Ooh, look at me, I'm the monster." Which, like, if anybody is raising a kid in the 21st century, you know
at
that
this point in the movie.
Well, yeah, but like,
yes, I know.
now.
I'm talking. That's why I hesitated and sounded like a complete idiot whenever I was saying 21st, because I was about to say 20th, and I'm like, wait, no, because 20th encompasses like so much before this movie and very little during and after. But what I'm trying to represent is definitely during the 21st century in our time. It's like if you're like consciously aware of like basic sociology and psychology, and you're like, yeah, you know, maybe I should at least pretend to trust my kid.
Speaking of 20th century really quick, I just remembered another little bit
20th century Fox by the Doors. Yeah, it's a great song.
Bruce did Bruce did the not the composer, the conducting for the recording for the 20th century Fox fanfare as well. I just remembered that when you said that. I was like, I saw something about 20th century Fox.
I wrote that down somewhere as well. I think it's on another page. Oh well.
So, all right. I know this is another thing we touched on earlier. Favorite kill from the whole movie?
Yes. Rich just exploding in the car and turning into a skeleton in front of his partner. I was like, yeah, that's it. Because I looked over the questions that Chad had asked us beforehand, and I was like, because as we're watching it, there's not a lot of actual like kills. But like the ones that were there, were mostly pretty good. Like Wolfman jumping onto the ambulance driver was decent, but like overall. But yeah, no, just watching Dracula stare Dell in the eyes, light a stick of dynamite, roll it under the car, and then Rich just it explodes. I was like, that's it. That's that's the best. That's as good as it's
I didn't realize he died until we watched the trailer, to be honest. Because they did that, and I'm like, wait, did he never get out of the car? Oh my god, we don't see him after that. He's good.
He was in the driver's seat, looking down, looking up, going, no, and then just vaporized off of it.
So I actually have a different death, which I like, that I'm glad of. I'm glad that it's different, because I was worried that we were going to be the same. Okay, I didn't write it down. Doesn't matter.
I was jamming.
Whenever the mummy character is like latched on to the back of the Jeep or whatever, the military all-terrain vehicle that they're in, and fucking the badass leather jacket kid, which the two of you who are here with me know I wore a leather jacket a majority of high school. Not like trying to do anything. It's just, it was like,
it was a nice jacket, man. It was a nice jacket.
Yeah, my neighbor gave it to me because they were like, oh, I bought this for my grandson, but you know, I've got retirement money and he's somebody who has taste. And I'm like, well, I have somebody who has no discrepancy with anything. If you're giving me something nice, I'm going to wear it. It's better than the poor clothes I'm wearing.
It's like Binky whenever he lost his binder and started taking the briefcase to school, and people started giving him shit for it.
That
So
was
he like, "Fuck you! I'm going to bring it
revolutionary.
every day." Then, and then
That was revolutionary. That's what
like
made
solidarity,
me
brother.
invest in a briefcase. That man.
Yeah.
Setting those
And his
trends.
briefcase.
Not wearing shoes,
Death
bringing a
scene is
briefcase.
your,
Yes, because he's grabbing onto that. The kid is the leather jacket kid, the wood shop kid, the Billy Jack. Yeah, he's like, all right, well, I stole this bow from a teacher. I'm not gonna just not use it. So, he attaches the one piece of the mummy ribbon wrapping to his arrow, shoots it into a tree. As they're driving at it's definitely above 40 miles per hour.
for sure.
They're gunning it. And it sticks to a tree. He unravels and he's like, ugh? And he doesn't say anything, but it is the most disturbing of all of the deaths because he unravels piece by piece. It starts with his leg and rolls its way up, and he just crumbles into ashes until he's a skull.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very similar to the mums scenes we get in Beetleborgs.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, that's cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why this is
that'll lead into one
Beetleborgs,
together.
but not NC-17, but rated R, I guess.
80s PG-13.
Right.
Straight up X.
I think my favorite kill is
It's not fucking.
it's probably still, I don't know if Horace killing the Gill Man with the
just
pump
absolutely, just
shotgun,
straight up, just blowing him away.
That is in my top 3
pumping
That
it
was
and
good.
for
just
sure.
firing while EJ and the shitty kids don't let him in, and he just turns around. And
That's
the
why
name's Horace.
That's why I
It's
put
perfect.
EJ on.
I love it.
That
That's
is
why I put
actually
EJ on it, because he's a
I
fucking coward and he was going to let Horace die.
I did see that. It was in a Watch Mojo or something, top whatever. I do remember that specific scene from one of those, and it gave
Gilman.
good. I'm like,
I loved
it
it.
gave me a whole new perspective because it's like they watched this kid rip this shotgun off of a cop's corpse.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm going to shoot him. And then he looks behind him. And he's like, oh my God, people I know, please save me from having to do this horrible thing. And they're like, piss off, Lou. And
for the viewers.
and then he's like, okay. And he's still trying to avoid it. He's like, I don't want to. And then he just ganks him.
Yeah.
Can I switch my answer to that dude that Gilman just kind of goes, eh.
Oh, and he
Dude,
falls
actually, okay, it's funny you mention that because I guess I can take this point or this time to point out that so cops, hold on, let's find cops together, shall we? So
You're
cops,
talking about the actual show Cops for a second. You're like, so Cops.
bad boys, what you gonna do?
Hey, it
What you
started
gonna
2 years
do when
after
they
this.
come for you? No, so apparently, according to this film, cops are allergic to touch, which actually explains why they overreacted and attacked protesters and instigated acts of violence during Black Lives Matter. And actually before that, but that's just the prevalent, reference here. Because literally they touch the cops and they're just like pain so much and so that it makes a lot of sense that's why they try to use lethal force on black people but not on white nationalists attacking the Capitol. It's all right there. It's right there. I'm tapping it. It's an excuse.
Yeah. That's in my trivia too. I think.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Fuck.
The opening
Sorry,
scene I think that the opening scene definitely is like a hook, but it goes on for so goddamn long. It works. It's great. But for me, like maybe it's just because I've watched it so many times. but it
The
just
kid gets
it's one of
sucked
those
into
things that you have to like get through.
They're here.
But do you guys think that the opening scene hooked you guys in, or was it kind of like a when are we going to get to the movie?
So wait, you mean the opening scene
I'd say
where
it
they were
kind of-
trying to stop the
Van
black
Helsing
hole
scene,
that opened the hold
Where Van
on
Helsing's trying to keep the mummy from coming out and getting
hundreds
sucked
of
in.
years ago the Helsings blew it, and then the Eye of Agamotto did a roll with wild magic to open a black hole, and then science was real and monsters were not all of a sudden.
That's the one.
So I was definitely interested because I have a commitment to the Beetle Bros podcast, and we're doing something different that isn't that. But no, for sure, it
I'm
definitely.
contractually obligated to be interested in the subject matter.
Exactly. No, that is somewhat true. But what really hooked me was so the Van Helsings and Castlevania. Like the Belmonts are supposed to be the Van Helsing family sort of parallel there.
Right.
So that, of course, got me from the start. I grew up on the Universal Monsters, and I knew that this was basically, the Hillhurst Monsters, but if they got a movie instead. So I was, of course, interested in that. Like every single Universal Monster movie, that's
Fucking shit, dude.
shit honky. That's all you needed to say with mayonnaise. I actually hate mayonnaise.
Right, so,
I'm very not white of me.
Most handsome guy, most attractive chick. Is this
a thing this podcast does?
Yeah, usually they're not.
It's fair to both.
Movies, mostly kids.
We
in them.
can't do that.
No.
Not like right now, but like for our podcast. No, no wonder that's not even something remote.
We're so
We get
used
arrested for doing that.
to even consider sexualizing these characters.
Even this movie, like these sexualized characters are still like what, 14 and 15?
Yeah.
The virgin is supposed to be a virgin, and she's not even legally an adult.
She's not even.
What do we have? The cop and his wife? Are those the two?
I was about to say, I was like my most handsome man.
Fella.
That's gonna be my boy Dell.
That's the handsome fella.
Yeah, it's a Logan man right there. I don't know what her problem is with that marriage. There, I mean, look at him.
I mean, okay, if we're doing this archaic, materialistic bullshit kind of something that
Just
I can
objectify
definitely see.
people, damn it! You objectify me all the fucking time.
Shut up, guy. That's like literally the same color as his background. Not wallpaper, paint. Sorry, I was trying to make a good insult. I can't because I don't have anything bad to say about you.
Oh yeah, no, like if the light bounces.
No,
off,
you're really white. I don't know. That's the only thing I can go off of.
Yeah,
like, I'm a
you,
little
you
red.
white
Cameron's a little pink.
white-
You're really white.
Fuck.
I think Dell's definitely my vote for the most handsome fella. I would almost say that the mom is like the female star of the show.
She's definitely the hottie McThottie.
Yeah.
She's the one that did why don't we go to the marriage counseling? And then oh my God, I saw this guy transform into a bat and fly away. It's that chick, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's also
Okay, cool. Yeah. Which she's right for wanting obviously they have trouble. They need couples therapy. Like they need to. And like he obviously
Her husband's hanging
if
out
this
on the
was
roof
a
with their
bullshit,
son.
if this was a realistic story, she would have a lot more of a case. But it's like literally he's like, okay, I literally got a call from a crazy guy saying he's gonna harm our son, and he's not in our house. So like,
yeah.
What am I gonna do besides check that out? Like, I understand what they're playing for, and he could very well be a terrible husband. I'm not saying like that redeems him in the eyes of the Lord. Like, he definitely seems busy. A lot of cops do. A lot of cops are. They do. Like, I'm not trying to simplify anything here. Like, he's a cop. He had a job to do. It's kind of crazy. But like, she's definitely the femme fatale of this movie.
Yeah,
I agree.
I would say
Actually, technically, the femme fatale of this movie would have been the 5-year-old, but whatever.
True.
She did. I mean, she did cause what
she does.
Yeah.
Best
She knows how to put an Avengers level threat on this earth.
Yes. Best song and did the score set the mood? I think it 100% is like a super 80s soundtrack. Rock Until You Drop is the song we get during the montage.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
I love it. It's 100% my favorite song. The Monster theme is really good too, but it's definitely got like a Goosebumps theme, or not Goosebumps, Ghostbusters theme.
Michael Spinello or Spinello.
It recaps the story.
Is who did Rock Until You Drop.
Yeah. I
don't think that was Bruce.
It's so
Bruce's score was good. I thought the initial one did kind of set the mood pretty well. I think my favorite bit from the overall actual like score was probably the music playing as I'm trying to do a podcast. Thank you. As they're raising Frankenstein's coffin up out of the swamp, like the music as it's swallowing while it's lifting up out, kind of like mixing with the bubbles and everything.
It was a quadruple whammy.
And especially because it was the reveal for Gilman as well, was him.
Yeah, you had Gilman and Frankenstein. It was like, something's out of the water. It's the casket that says Frankenstein. And then it's like, what's holding that? The Gilman. And they had like the musical things. And it's like the two other plot things that, sorry, I should have interjected with.
Oh, no, you're fine. I just thought it was really cool. See, I thought the music did a really good job in that one. That was probably my favorite bit of the actual score. That wasn't like the music like Rock Until You Drop. Or, the outro.
The music for this was so much better than Santa with Muscles. And like Santa with Muscles could have had some bomb ass music.
I could have.
All right.
Could have had the holster singing.
Was it scary?
No.
I'll just do a
The scariest part, as I explained earlier, the scariest part to me was the mummy.
Yeah,
it was the mummy.
Even when I saw it when I was younger, I don't think it was ever scary.
Yeah, that's I tried. I was like, all right, give it a chance. I saw it when I was 12. Do I remember it being scary? Think back to that. And I was like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, well, what if you were 12 in 87 and you didn't grow up like me and you hadn't seen Alien and The Shining and all of that by the time you were 12 already? So I was like, maybe. But you're going to have to be like, even a kid in the 80s is going to have to be like 8 for it to scare him. But it was just fun. Plus, it's a horror comedy movie. Like it's more fun, I would say, than it is scary by every stretch. Yeah. But not bad. Yeah. I loved it. I loved it as a kid. I remember really liking it, and I just loved it again now. So
yeah. Would you say it holds up today? Either you guys?
Yeah. I mean, so
I feel like it would probably have done better if it came out
kind of
at the time. It probably would have made that 12 million back. Sorry.
It's a preferential statement. Does it work today? Because this is 18 years ago. This
is 2002.
This came out 94, 96?
87.
87.
God damn it, I'm so bad. So this came out 14?
Huh?
Oh, I'm so bad at math. I'm a little drunk. But no, so we're more than a decade after the fact. You can't really hold it to similar standards. You have to kind of have a perspective on life. Like if you're somebody who just like has been enjoying the top movies every year that they've come out in your life, it's like, no, of course not. You're going to think this is a really weird movie.
What was the number one movie of 87 to get like a palette of the 87 movie goers?
Back to the Future 2 or a Star Wars movie, I bet.
You're probably right.
Find it real quick.
So the top grossing movies. The top grossing movie of 87 was Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's like
Lost Boys also came out in 87.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. What'd you say, Nick?
The first Lethal Weapon came out in 87. Platoon.
Ooh, Mel Gibson coming into his own.
Stuff like that. The Untouchables. God, I love that movie. So I don't know if this would have been also the first.
It was kind of a blockbuster year, but also it was surrounded by the likes of Back to the Future, Terminator, Alien, like all sorts of shit like that. Like
God,
not even close to
Full Metal.
Oh yeah. Like it would be like whenever Inception came out, and it's like, all right, what movies came out the year after that?
Right.
So let's go ahead and jump over to a Recycle, Rewind, or Remake.
Is it?
I'm sorry, I did not do my homework because the mobile version of finding these show notes ended up in literally.
That was pretty funny.
Everything.
It was one line of letters.
The first paragraph was like, all right, recap. What did we do this week? Or like whatever it was, whatever the wording is. And it was like, okay, I read that. And then every single fucking thing after that was, all right, vertically.
One letter.
Just one line the whole way through. I could have probably printed off 30 pages just from that because it was like
Google Docs
all the way right. So I don't know anything about this show really. I meant to watch an episode, but
I think we
depression and workforce.
We missed a couple questions.
Let's see which one.
I'm sure
we covered a few as we were talking about the other stuff, so I kind of skipped around. I know we talked about the cinematography. Did you? So we'll go ahead.
Liked it. It's kind of like a Ron Howard movie a little bit with the cinematography in some ways.
Did you say Ron Howard movie?
Kind of a little bit in like some instances. More of the like slice of life stuff that was kind of happening at the beginning made me think of that. So I looked it up to see if the cinematographer had any other work that was kind of similar to that would like confirm my thoughts. I couldn't really find anything else he did that I was super aware of, except he did the cinematography for the first Tremors movie in 03.
Okay.
And I was like,
Kevin Bacon movie that automatically makes it a Footloose.
But yeah, so there was that. There was also, did we like the premise?
Yeah.
Which I love. I think, I guess technically we kind of covered that. We were gushing about, and then probably, but I didn't really mention my best scene. Or at least my favorite scene. I definitely think it was the scene where they were talking with the scary German guy in his house, and he was like reading out, the Van Helsing journal and all of that. And you find out he's like the Holocaust survivor.
That wasn't cool. I was like, all right, cool, scary German guy, and then all of a sudden it's like. I was like, oh man, he's probably like a bad guy. And then as soon as I postulated that, his arm gripped the doorway and you see his tattoo. And I'm like, oh my God, I am the worst person to exist on this planet.
And in between,
like Hitler's dead, Stalin's dead. Here I am, just defensive as can be.
It's like Pol Pot.
I wanted to die.
But so during that scene, I thought
it's really sad.
I was
it's really sad.
It is really sad.
It's way more sad than any other aspect of the movie. Like, how do you get worse than, oh yeah, I was in a concentration camp. In fact, do you want to see my tattoo?
And when you look at
God damn it,
summaries of it too, they really it's a prevalent part that they talk about in all the plot summaries. It's a really important part of the movie. And I was wondering about this. So and you've seen F is for Family. I don't know how much of the show you've watched, Cameron. Is Otto?
Love that your finger points actually pointed towards Cameron.
Yeah. So
do you see that too? Are we in the same configuration, Cameron, in top left?
I see it. Yeah, I see it.
We live in the future.
I was wondering, is Otto their German neighbor from F is for Family? Is he a reference to Monster Squad? Because literally, they all think he's the scariest thing ever, and then he reveals that he actually was like a Holocaust survivor and everything.
No,
it's very, very similar. And he's not a direct reference.
It's not a unique trope. Is the problem?
Yeah.
Family Guy, you remember they do the same thing. Well, Family Guy actually they do the same thing but flip it on its head. Yeah. But it's not specifically that.
Yeah. I guess I should have thought of Boo Radley.
Boo Radley is a white nationalist that's somehow freeing slaves or something.
Boo Radley's a nice guy. He just wants to be left alone. That was the trope I was going for. I was like, yeah, that fucking Nazi Boo Radley in the book that took place in the fucking early ass 30s.
All right, so let's jump over. Yeah. Recycle, rewind, or remake. I'm honestly going to go ahead and just say that I think this movie deserves a remake.
Really?
I think it has enough of a cult following that it deserves.
No.
I think it could make for like a TV series instead of a film, not like the Netflix.
Sorry. Oh, what the fuck? Why did it lock the screen?
So, like,
do you hear me? Do you guys still hear me?
You're still there.
Okay. Okay. Oh, what the fuck is happening? Okay. Sorry.
Oh man, it's gonna be so good. No, I love that.
Delicious. Yeah, I think, and it's probably just me, and I'm sure it's my bullshit on like I just want more Universal.
Want another Beetleborgs?
That's true too. I just want more Universal Monsters stuff because like every time we get it, it's bullshit. And this is like Universal Monsters without being Universal Monsters. And that's the best way to do a Universal Monsters reboot is to do it as legally distinct from Universal.
I would say, yeah, that's probably the best way to go about it than rather trying to get like the actual lore of the original characters.
Yeah. And maybe not like a verbatim reboot in the way that
Brian is in my soul.
The way that like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or something gets a reboot every now and then. But more in like this premise getting used again and getting
what premise is this?
The premise of like having kids gather together to fight off like classic monsters. And it could even be, I mean, you could do
like Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That kind of like trope premise type thing. I think that could translate to a fun mini series or TV series or something now, or like a Halloween.
It'd be Good Omens, but like Teen Titans.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
I mean,
so yeah, no, I think I'm with you. I think a remake as a show or a mini series or something like that would probably do pretty well. Like a Monster Squad TV, just WandaVision.
You know, honestly, so Teen Wolf didn't need a show. It didn't. Yeah. It really didn't. Monster Squad could have used a show.
And even doing it in the vein of, I know you said WandaVision, but in the vein of current shows that are coming out, Cobra Kai.
Okay,
pulling from a similar era of source material, but doing a series like that and even covering the kids now and bringing some of them in, like where are they now type thing, saying and showing, what have these kids grown up as? Like, is it like the third Lost Boys movie where as it is, but like.
Or they have a conch, so it isn't
monster hunters. Like it is, or something like that. Or are they like, is it like Cobra Kai and they're kind of washed up or successful in their own rights, but they've kind of put that past behind them and they have real lives now, and it gets brought back. Something maybe not Dracula, but some monster comes in or a
Nosferatu with a hash-slinging slasher.
Yeah, one of those guys. All right, so our rating for this movie, I'm obviously going to be super biased, but how many out of 5 bloody VHS tapes are you guys going to give this? Nick, you want to go first on that? I want to go first.
I have so much to do. Really get through the whole thing.
I mean, I'm going to be partially biased myself, having watched it as a kid, but I think I forgot enough about it and had to kind of refresh, and I like it enough still now that I'm willing to give it. It's not flawless. It's not perfect. There's still like a couple of holes in the writing a little bit, especially when it comes to the tertiary characters that aren't like the main characters. They can be kind of written a little dumb, to be honest. Like even after I praised it for being like the adults actually take it seriously, the main character adults take it seriously. The tertiary characters around are idiots. So,
well, we see the main actually useful character is like, "Hi, my introduction is smoking a cigarette. I'll be performing shop this episode."
right.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I can't go to a 5, but I will
cigarette, to be
give
honest.
it a 4. 4 bloody VHS tapes from
Yeah.
Yes.
Ryan,
Out of
5 bloody VHS tapes.
hold on now. So
Okay, do you want a context of what they're of what some fear? So, The Shining is a 5.
what's The Shining is a 5?
Yeah.
What
I might have to go.
what is their? I don't know how to phrase this. What's their actual rating? I don't like. It's very vague. It's
I don't know.
very primal.
It's like our
I'm like,
5 flappers. It's just
I understand that, but like they're putting The Shining at a 5 out of 5. If we had a Shining episode, it would probably be 8.5 to 9.5 to that out of 10. Like it's
each other's rating.
It's a different scaling system. I'm trying to figure out what exactly we're pulling of value from the works that we're evaluating.
That's fair. Cameron, do you have an example of like a 3 so we can see what?
I don't know if I've
Exactly. 3 to 4.5. Like anything between those ranges would be a
And in the end, it's
very
going to be
fair.
subjective to TJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Exactly. like
our rating of this is going to be totally subjective to us and not
it'll be completely different from theirs.
experience with.
So you know what?
Ooh,
You know what?
okay, so
I'm taking a firm stance. There's 4 bloody VHS tapes.
I mean, I'm not
just
gonna lie. I'm totally fine with giving it a 4. Like I really like this movie, and having not watched all the other movies that they've watched for Gore N More, but having watched Beetleborgs all the time and watched a shit ton of Universal Monster movies and movies that play off of that legacy, I think this is in the top of, if you're going to go with movies that play on that specific legacy and those tropes, I think this is top tier for me in that. And it definitely has like a unique cult following along the lines of like Lost Boys and its sequels. But I think a 4 out of 5 is totally justified.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, what's our end game? Like, we're not snapping to restore humanity. What's the point of me pretending that I'm not looking directly at whomever watches this? Could be anybody. We're at 13 views to 13,000 views. It's a rough estimate, but like, if I were to just look into my camera, record something, there it is. But now we're on the Beetle Bros thing, evaluating it.
Just give me a number.
So how many
There was a funny
VHS
thing
tapes out of 5, Ryan?
How many flabbers out of 5 flabbers does it make you more comfortable?
This movie.
I wish I had gone through their catalog enough to get a 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So
Cameron heard me recommend
the voting method is out of VHSs, right?
Yeah.
And it's out of how many? 5? 5. And do you have any of what anything scales at right now?
The only one I can remember off the top of my head is that The Shining's a 5. It's the one I listened to.
Shining's a 5.
Rightfully so.
Okay, so disappointment is something I can definitely purvey. That's a knock at your 5 for The Shining, by the way. Great story. The movie's not as great as the novel. You should always have room for improvement. I'm sorry. But so I'd put this at a 3.5 to 4. I want to put 3.75, maybe a 4, and now 3.5.
Okay.
3.5.
No, that makes sense. And like, especially with you guys having not seen the movie ever before, or well, like Nick has
mild
point, and you have never seen it.
Seen this movie before.
Yeah. You definitely are going to have
you.
Objective view of.
Sorry to have delayed that.
You're fine.
No, it's okay. Okay, so TJ Bossman, you're going to have to help me out with announcing the next episode and where it's available. Ooh. Sorry, I'm still adjusting to this setup of all these views everywhere. Where did that go? All right. So yeah, TJ's going to have to help out with the announcement of next episode, what'll be on next week after this airs. I know that for the Big Bad Beetle Bros, we've super appreciated being on this. We've loved participating with Pod Swap. It's been a fun project.
It's been great.
Yeah,
I kind of can't wait to see how Comics and Kaidus does with ours.
Yeah, it's definitely
No, for sure. I was thinking about that earlier, and it's like, okay, for as excited as I am to watch our own episode this next week or whenever this airs, it's like I can't imagine how much they're going to hate how we ruin your format, and I apologize deeply. I just want to die. Don't blame me. I tried once, it didn't work out, so here we are.
Is this hell? Did we make it?
No, it's not. Hell is actually not fun for me.
Fair enough. All right, yeah. So huge thanks to the Gore N More crew for letting us take over their podcast for the week.
Thank you, boys.
Huge thanks to the C&K crew for taking over Beetle Bros for an episode. I apologize for what we're going to put you through.
You can't do any worse than us, so don't worry. It's not physically possible.
Go down. All right, so thank you guys so much. Tune in next week for the new episode, and your usual crew will be back, and your airwaves will be returned to their non-disturbed, non-Beetleborgified state.
You'll get actual TJ instead of 2 budget TJs.
Yeah. So, all righty. With that, I've been Cam.
I've been Nick.
And I've been Ryan.
And we've been Gore N More?
The Gore N More Bros. Come on, it was right there.
Beautiful.